5 dragonets, 1 prophecy, 0 adults who actually knew what they were doing.
And we're about to explain exactly why.
Welcome to another glorious episode of Pyrrhia-Cast, where we dissect, discuss, and occasionally set fire to the biggest moments in dragon history. I'm Deathbringer.
I'm Qibli, here to make sure he doesn't get too carried away.
Too carried away? I'm never too carried away. I'm exactly the right amount of carried away.
If you say so. Anyway, today we're talking about the Dragonet Prophecy, the beginning of everything. And specifically, was this prophecy ever actually a good idea?
Or, and hear me out, were 5 dragonets just trapped inside the worst plan ever conceived by a group of well-meaning but catastrophically incompetent adults?
So let's start with the prophecy itself. You know the one. When the war has lasted 20 years, the dragonets will come.
Very dramatic. I love the drama of it. Very mysterious. Very vague.
Exactly. It's so vague you can interpret it however you want. The dragonets will come and do what? End the war? Pick a side? Make everything worse?
And here's what kills me. The Talons of Peace took that vague prophecy and built an entire plan around it. They stole eggs. They hid dragonets in a mountain. They assigned guardians who were, let's be honest, deeply unsuited for childcare.
The guardians. Right. You've got Kestrel, angry, just furious all the time. Dune, who clearly doesn't want to be there. And Webbs, who means well, but accomplishes basically nothing.
Webbs has good intentions, and that's where it ends.
There's this other thing about the guardians I keep coming back to. Webbs clearly feels guilty. You can tell he knows what they're doing is wrong.
But he doesn't do anything about it. He just feels bad while continuing to imprison 5 help you in small lands, and save someone with high technology around you.
Which almost makes it worse. Kestrel doesn't believe in the prophecy, but at least she's honest about her resentment. Webbs knows it's wrong and does it anyway.
That's the problem with true believers, isn't it? They can justify anything if they think the cause is good enough.
And Dune's he's there because he has nowhere else to go, which might be the saddest of all.
3 broken adults raising 5 dragonets to fix a war they themselves couldn't end. What could possibly go wrong?
Everything. Everything went wrong, and somehow the dragonets survived anyway. And Kestrel is actively cruel. She doesn't believe in the prophecy, doesn't want to be there, and takes it out on 5 dragonets who didn't ask for any of this.
Which raises the question, if you don't believe in the thing you're supposedly raising these dragonets for, why are you even there?
Desperation. The Talons of Peace aren't some organized, competent group. They're scrambling. The war's been going on for 20 years. Dragons are dying, and they're grasping at anything that might work.
So they build an entire system on desperation, which means, from the very beginning, the dragonets aren't being raised to fulfill destiny. They're being raised to be tools.
Can we talk about what it must have been like in that cave? Because I don't think we appreciate how strange that is.
Oh, it's very strange. They've never seen the sky, never flown properly. They don't know what rain feels like, or wind, or sunlight. Their entire world is rock and darkness and 3 adults who resent them.
And they only have each other. No other dragons their age. No one to compare notes with. No perspective on whether what they're experiencing is normal.
So when Kestrel tells them they're weak, or stupid, or not good enough, they have no way to know she's lying. They just believe it.
And the scrolls they're given, it's all curated, all chosen specifically to make them understand the prophecy and their role in it.
Indoctrination. Educational, maybe, but still indoctrination.
Clay especially, he keeps trying to be what they want him to be, but he's also just himself. He's kind. He cares about his friends. He doesn't want to be a weapon.
Clay is the one holding them together, when everything else is chaos. Without him, they'd fall apart.
And what's interesting, Clay is good at that despite his upbringing, not because of it. The Guardians didn't teach him compassion. He learned to care about others because that's who he is.
You know, Qibli, I want to go back to something. The moment when Clay realizes he was supposed to kill his siblings when he hatched. That Kestrel told him he was this monster dragonet who would eat everyone else.
That whole first part of the story, he thinks he's dangerous, thinks he almost hurt his friends, and then he finds out it was all Kestrel's lie.
She wanted him to think he was a monster, wanted him afraid of himself, because if he's afraid of his own power, he's easier to control.
That's gaslighting. You twist someone's instincts into something shameful so they never trust themselves.
And Clay still manages to be kind, still holds everyone together, even after 6 years of being told he's a monster.
That's real strength. Not fighting strength, emotional resilience. The ability to be kind when everyone's telling you you're dangerous.
That's what makes him a hero, not the prophecy. His choice to be gentle when the world rewards violence.
And the thing is, this whole story isn't just about the prophecy. It's about how we treat dragonets, how we impose expectations on them, how they survive that anyway.
Wait, before we move on, we should talk about the other dragonets. Because Clay gets a lot of attention, but the group dynamic is what makes this work.
Oh, good point. Let's talk about Tsunami.
Tsunami is... she's a lot. All action, zero patience.
She's been cooped up her entire life, and the second she gets out, she wants to do something. Fix something. Fight someone, probably.
Clay wants everyone safe and happy. Tsunami wants everyone strong and ready for anything. She's a warrior.
But underneath all that bravado, she's terrified. Terrified she's not good enough, that she won't be able to protect her friends.
So she covers fear with aggression. When you're scared, sometimes attacking feels safer than admitting you don't know what you're doing.
And then there's Glory. She's been told her entire life that she's worthless, a replacement, a backup dragonet who doesn't even count.
She's a Rainwing, not even part of the war. The prophecy didn't call for a Rain Ring. She's there because the Skywing egg got destroyed, and they needed someone.
Can you imagine going through everything with this group and constantly being told you're not really part of it?
And Glory still shows up. She's sarcastic, sharp, she demands to be seen, even when everyone's telling her she doesn't matter.
She's probably the strongest of all of them. Not physically, but mentally. She's fighting for a place every single day.
And then there's Starflight. Oh, Starflight. He knows everything, but he's terrified of, well, everything.
He's read every scroll. Knows history, politics, strategy. He could probably solve half their problems if he just believed in himself.
But he's been raised to think being smart isn't enough. That he needs to be brave, strong, confident, and he's none of those things. Or, at least, he doesn't think he is.
And he's in love with Sunny, which makes everything worse because he can't tell her, and he's convinced she'd never feel the same way.
It's painful. He's right there, she has no idea, and he's convinced he's not good enough for her. Classic.
Sunny, she's the heart in a different way than Clay. Clay holds them together. Sunny believes in them. She believes they can save everyone. She believes in hope.
Which is amazing, considering she's been raised in the same terrible conditions. She should be just as jaded, but she chooses hope.
And she's the smallest. Hybrid, half sandwing. She doesn't look like the prophecy said. Not intimidating, not physically powerful, but determined.
So you've got 5 completely different dragonets. Clay the peacemaker, Tsunami the warrior, Glory the defiant, Starflight the scholar, Sunny the believer, and somehow they work together.
They work together because they have to. The Guardians failed them. The Talons of Peace used them. The world outside is hostile, so they choose each other.
You know what I keep thinking about? The fact that they didn't have to like each other. They were forced together, raised together, but they could have resented that.
They could have turned on each other, competed for approval, let the Guardians pit them against each other.
But they didn't. They chose each other, even when it would have been easier to comply. To be good little prophecy dragonets, they chose loyalty.
That's what makes them dangerous to every system trying to control them. They're not individuals. They're a unit.
And that's more powerful than any prophecy.
Okay, back to the arena. There's this moment. Clay fighting Fjord, the Ice Wing, and he refuses to kill him.
Oh, that moment kills me. In a good way. Everyone expects him to do it. The crowd wants blood. Scarlet wants entertainment. And Clay just says no.
He says no because killing Fjord wouldn't solve anything. Wouldn't save his friends. Wouldn't end the war. Just more violence for entertainment.
It's the first time one of them really defies what they're being forced to do. Not just escaping. Standing there and saying, I won't participate.
It's incredibly brave. Scarlet could have killed him for it.
But she doesn't, because Clay did something more powerful than winning. He made the audience care. They're not just watching violence, they're watching someone with principles.
And that's when Peril steps in. She's been watching Clay, and she's never seen anyone choose mercy.
So she starts helping him, secretly, because she's terrified of Scarlet. But she's starting to realize there might be another way to live.
Both of them were raised to be tools. Clay rejected that. Peril's still figuring out if she can.
Can we go back to Peril for a second? Because her whole life has been Scarlet telling her she's a monster, that she's too dangerous to have friends, too broken to be anything but a weapon.
And then Clay shows up and just treats her like a dragon, not a weapon, not a monster, just Peril.
That moment when she realizes he's not afraid of her, not because he's brave, but because he genuinely doesn't see her as something to be afraid of.
That's when she starts questioning everything Scarlet ever told her.
Destiny versus control. Are the dragonets going to fulfill the prophecy because they're supposed to, or make their own choices?
Can you really call it destiny if you were kidnapped as an egg and raised specifically to fulfill it? That's not prophecy, that's programming. You know what's really manipulative about the prophecy? It doesn't actually promise victory. It just says the dragonets will come. That's it.
So everyone's projecting their own hopes onto it. The Talons think it means peace. Others probably think it means their side will win. Nobody actually knows.
It's the perfect prophecy for manipulation. Vague enough that everyone can believe what they want to believe.
And specific enough that the Talons could justify stealing eggs and imprisoning dragonets for 6 years. Ooh, dark. I like it, Qibli. And you're right. The Talons of Peace didn't trust the prophecy. If they really believed destiny would unfold on its own, they wouldn't have needed to control everything.
They were terrified the dragonets wouldn't turn out right. They never believed in destiny. They believed in fear, desperation, forcing an outcome.
And here's what gets me. This isn't just about the Talons of Peace. This is what adults do. You're finally lifelike engaged discussion, plans for you.
And dragonets pay the price. Isolated, manipulated, lied to. They don't get to figure out who they are.
But when they do start making their own choices, escaping the cave, refusing Scarlet's arena, choosing each other, that's when they become powerful. Not because of destiny, because of defiance.
Every authority figure in this whole mess is either cruel, incompetent, or ineffective. Scarlet, the Guardians, the Talons' leadership.
Very cynical view of authority. No one in power is trustworthy. The only functional relationships are between the dragonets themselves.
Which, maybe that's the point. Dragonets understand that adults don't always know what they're doing. That sometimes the ones in charge are making terrible decisions and everyone just goes along with it.
The dragonets figure out that just because someone's older or in authority, that doesn't mean they're right. Doesn't mean you should blindly follow.
Let's talk about the ending. They escape the arena, get away from Scarlet, but they're not free. They're just out. No plan, no direction.
They've rejected the cave, rejected Scarlet, but they haven't figured out what they're for yet, what they actually believe.
The real question isn't can they survive? They can. The question is, who are they going to become?
Are they going to be the dragonets the prophecy called for, the heroes the Talons wanted, or something else, something they choose?
The whole thing isn't really about the prophecy. The prophecy's just what started it. This is about 5 dragonets figuring out how to be themselves when everyone wants to turn them into symbols.
Autonomy. The right to define yourself when everyone else has already decided who you're supposed to be.
And they're doing that in the most extreme way possible. Their expectations aren't be nice to your siblings. It's save the continent from a 20-year war.
Children who've been told they're responsible for ending a war that killed hundreds of thousands of dragons.
Completely unfair, completely unreasonable, and, honestly, not that different from what we do to dragonets all the time. Maybe not on that scale, but we put our hopes and fears on them and expect them to fix what we couldn't.
So what do you owe the generation before you? Do you have to fix their mistakes, fulfill their prophecies, or can you just live your own life?
Maybe both. Maybe you fix what you can fix, but on your terms. You don't let the previous generation dictate how you save the world.
Picture this. 5 traumatized dragonets stumbling out of Scarlet's palace. No idea where they're going, covered in ash and blood. And one of them, Clay, of course, turns around and says, "At least we're together." That's the moment. right there.
Yeah, that's the moment they stop being prophecy dragonets and start being themselves.
So let's circle back. The prophecy, good idea or terrible plan?
Both. The idea of hope, of change being possible, that's necessary. Without that, the war continues forever.
But stealing eggs, isolating dragonets, controlling their development, that's where it becomes monstrous. Good idea, terrible execution.
The moment they escape the mountain and see the world for the first time, I keep thinking about how overwhelming that must be. Not just visually, but emotionally.
Everything they've been told about the world is suddenly real. The war isn't just scrolls and stories, it's smoke and blood and actual dying dragons.
And they're supposed to fix it. 6-year-old dragonets who've never seen the sky are supposed to end a 20-year war.
The audacity of the adults who set this up. The absolute audacity.
And yet, they're trying. Despite everything, despite how unfair it is, they're actually trying to help.
Because that's who they are. Not because of the prophecy. Not because they were forced to. Because they're good dragons who can't stand watching others suffer.
Which makes them more heroic than any prophecy could.
Every choice they make, to be kind, to protect each other, to refuse to become what others want them to be, those are the real acts of defiance.
Defiance through kindness. Rebellion through staying true to themselves.
That's beautiful, Qibli. That's exactly it.
The dragonets survived despite the plan. They survived because of each other. Because they chose kindness and loyalty. The Talons of Peace wanted to create heroes. Instead, they created survivors. And it turns out, survivors are a lot more dangerous than heroes. Here's something I keep noticing. Every time they're supposed to do one thing, they do the opposite. Kestrel tells them to be hard. Clay becomes gentle. The prophecy says choose a queen. They refuse to choose.
They're allergic to being controlled. Every instinct they have is to resist manipulation.
Which is hilarious because the Talons spent 6 years trying to mold them, and all they did was create dragons who can't be molded.
The Talons' greatest achievement was their complete and utter failure.
That's actually perfect. That's exactly what happened.
Because heroes follow scripts, survivors make their own rules. Okay, Qibli, here's something I've been thinking about. The story stays so close to Clay's perspective, right? We're seeing everything through his eyes, his instincts.
Yeah, which is interesting because he's not the smartest one. That's Starflight. Not the strongest fighter, that's Tsunami. He's not even the most dramatic.
Hey, I mean you're not wrong, but still, hey.
Sorry, Deathbringer. Anyway, Clay's the moral center. His instincts about right and wrong, about what matters, those are what guide the whole account.
He's the one who sees Peril as a dragon, not a weapon, who refuses to kill Fjord, who holds the group together when they're falling apart.
He's not making complicated strategic decisions, he's just being decent, and somehow that's exactly what everyone needs.
Because complicated strategy is what got everyone into this mess. The prophecy, the plan, the manipulation, all of it was adults being clever. Clay's just being good.
And that changes how we see everything. If this was told from Tsunami's perspective, it'd be about fighting and winning. From Starflight's, it'd be about knowledge and fear.
But from Clay's perspective, it's about protecting the dragons you love, about choosing kindness when you're given every reason not to.
That's why it works. That's why we care. Not because of the prophecy or the war, but because Clay makes us care about the dragons themselves.
He teaches us to see what he sees. Peril isn't a monster. Starflight isn't a coward. Tsunami isn't just aggression. They're his friends, and he loves them.
And by the end, we love them too.
That's okay. I wasn't prepared to get emotional about Clay right now, but here we are.
Clay has that effect.
He really does.
Exactly, Deathbringer. Exactly.
The prophecy brought them together, but what makes them capable of changing the world is that they refuse to let it define them.
They deserved better than what they got. Better than Kestrel's cruelty and the Talons' desperation. They deserved to just be dragonets.
But they became something more powerful than destiny. They became themselves.
That's exactly it.
I have my moments.
You really do.
So, terrible plan, amazing dragonets, and a whole lot of adults who should have thought things through better.
Pretty good summary.
See? I'm useful sometimes.
Sometimes.
Alright, that's it for this episode of Pyrrhia-Cast. Thanks for listening. Next time.
Okay, we're talking about Clay. Why the whole account works, because it stays close to his perspective. Why his instincts matter. Why he's the moral center.
Clay. The gentlest dragon in a war zone. This is going to be good.
It really is. There's a lot to unpack there.
Until next time, stay dramatic, stay curious, and remember, question everything, especially prophecies.
And don't steal eggs.
Yeah, definitely don't steal eggs.